Okay, today is Wednesday. It is 9:37 p.m. It is April 29th. Today it's like if you go up in the sky, if you have a 30,000 foot view, okay? If you have a 30,000 feet view, if you are the chief executive officer of a company, you get to see everything. Okay, you get to see everything. If you are if you are the chief executive officer, you get to see everything that's going on with the company. Okay? So it helps for the person who is the chief executive to have worked at the bottom of the company and then uh, worked uh, their way up to the highest level because it gives a perspective of the company. Okay, so I heard Trump made his kids work from the bottom all the way up so that they could see from the perspective of the totality of the company. Okay? So then what they'll do is they'll get a big picture. They'll get a big picture of what's going on. Okay? They'll get a huge picture of what the organization is doing. Okay? And so when they communicate with somebody who is at the entry level of doing something, the chief executive officer knows what's going on. Okay? The chief executive officer knows what's going on, and there's a one to one communication because the language that the person speaks, the language that the person speaks is exactly the way that the chief executive officer speaks. And so they're able to communicate very well. Okay? And so when the pool guy says, hey, look, there are these things that needs to be done, and you have to use this particular equipment in order to perform that duty, then the person at the top knows what the person is talking about because he has done that job before. Okay, and he's intimately familiar with it. And so all he has to do is, hey, we have to do this. Oh, yeah, that's why. Okay, so now in trading, what I noticed is that I have to be so it's essentially becoming becoming a becoming a consistently profitable trader is essentially being a chief executive officer of the company. Okay, that's what it means. It means I have to be the chief executive officer of my company. Once I become the chief executive officer of my company, I know what's going on and I know what to do. And when certain features of certain uh, parts of my trading is not right, then I need to fix it. So, for instance, there are two major. Okay, so there are three there are three major. What's okay? So I'll just make it into two to make it simple. There are two primary mechanisms for running a company, a day trading company. Okay, in order to run the day trading company, I have to be an expert at these two things primarily because the mind and the setup, those are the two primary things that run the day trading company. And in order for me to be successful as a consistent profit trader, I have to be intimately familiar with these things. So what I noticed about even if I see something like a hand, I cannot fully describe it because it's complex. I have to. So I know what it has a basic feature of what's going on, but the mind is not there. I can't see the mind because it's my mind. And I'm having to communicate with my own mind. So what I noticed about the mind is that it does things that I cannot explain. And then because the mind is physically connected, the mind is connected with the physical world because there has to be a biological matter that control the so the brain is a biological organism. The brain is a biological organism that is conscious. Okay, that is sort of conscious. Okay, nobody's really conscious except Jesus Christ, right? But so the brain is a biological matter, and that biological matter requires basic essential things like sleep, food, okay, exercise, okay. So you have to be a medical doctor to fully be engaged in trading. You have to be a medical doctor to be fully present when you're trading. Okay? And also, you have to be also a psychiatrist in order to perform that duty because you have to know what's going on and what are you lacking. So you are your own manager. Okay? You are your own manager. Okay? So nobody is your boss. You are your own boss. Okay, essentially, that's what it is. And so what I discovered about trading recently is this. Okay, so the mind does things, but I can't see it, but I have to see it based on my behavior and what the interaction is. So what has been happening is that I would gain a certain level of profit in my trading account, and then my mind will be in cloud nine. Okay, and I think everything is good, and I just start sizing big and stuff, and move away from the strategy that I use to get to that 2%, okay, or 6%, and then I start to crumble because just like it's like seesaw. So it has something to do with the intensity. I'm incredibly intense down here, but I'm not intense here because I think everything is fine. But in reality, I need to be more intense up here when I'm in profit. I have to be far more intense when I am in profit because what I would do is I will think that everything is okay and then I'll start to mess up. And so I have to be far more intense in my trading. And so in that respects, I have to be my own manager. So it's like this. Okay, so the Olympic athlete trains for 4 years. The Olympic athlete trains for 4 years. It is an intense, grueling moment in order to perform that one moment that comes around every 4 years. Okay, to perform to use the mind and the body to perform the most difficult thing, whether it's going to be steeplechase, whether it's 100 meter, whether it's a marathon, whether it's shot put, whatever it is. For the past 4 years, there was an intense amount of work that was done. Intense. To be the best of 8 billion people. Okay, to be the best of 8 billion people, you have to be incredibly intense for the past 4 years. Then when you get to the Olympics, then you don't just relax and party and you think everything is okay. It's even more intense because there is that added pressure of nervousness and something that is telling you that you have to do this. So there is a mental stress that goes around it, added to the stress of maintaining yourself, and then you have this intense need. So there is a higher level. So the game is not over. The game is not over once you turn on your computer. It gets even more intense. That's what I forgot. I've been forgetting about that for the past 5.5 years. I had no idea. So I would be doing well. I would be doing well in the demo, in preparation, being intense. And then I would do the 5K, and I would like trade and trade and trade and trade. And I get to the point where I am in the spotlight. I am in the position to break through. Then I relax and I tell the whole world, hey, look what I did. And internally, I'm floating in the cloud. And what happens to heavy people when somebody's placed on a cloud? He falls to the ground flat. And then he wakes up with a migraine headache for the past 1 full year because he was unable to handle. So people say you can't handle the truth. People say that. There are people who cannot handle success. People cannot handle a success. So that's why it's so difficult to be the chief executive officer of a company or be the number one out of 8 billion people to be in the marathon or to the Olympics. Or because many, except for the elite of the elite of the elite, okay? The Michael Jordans, okay? Tiger Woods, Babe Ruth, all these people, okay? What's the football guy? Whatever that football guy is, the quarterback, whoever that is, right? You have to, it's an intense thing. It's an intense thing. I forgot. See, when I graduated from college, I thought, okay, so I'm just going to coast through college, okay? And then when I get a job, I'm just going to relax. That's why I got fired. That's why I got fired so many times. My own career was a sawtooth. It was a sawtooth because I was unable to handle success. I am. See, when people say, hey, you can't handle the truth, you can't handle success, you're right. That's why people who win the lottery, they lose everything because they don't know how. They don't know how to handle it. That's why the rich people, they know how to handle it. The people who grew up in that environment is used to it. So the intensity that's required to live in that environment, they become accustomed to it. And therefore, they carry that same thing over. But if I'm relaxed and normally outside of trading, I'm doing something else, it means that I lost the intensity. That's why. See, right before I started the 5K challenge last year to get funded, to get funded and get payouts, I was at the point where I was at the end of my ropes. I said to myself, look, everything is falling apart. Your car's breaking down. Your shoes are falling off. You reduced yourself. You painted yourself into a corner where you are allowing yourself to have more time to do this, and yet you're still failing. Okay? I made myself, and then I took every penny that I had and I dumped everything into it. And so what I ended up doing was the only thing that I had to eat, okay, was oatmeal. It was like a 10-pound oatmeal that I went from Costco. I bought it for like $10, and I could eat that for a month. I ate that, and what it did was it reduced the instinctual nature to jump in and do something like that, right? So I finally. Okay, so I heard about this. I saw this YouTube video called Be the Trader, okay? I have to give credit where the credit is. This guy has a YouTube channel on trading, and it's called the Be the Trader. And he said this. He says, while he was developing, he would say, hey, I got this. I got this. I got this. But unless you are a chief executive officer of your own company, okay? And you know the ins and outs from the top to bottom, inside, middle, whatever, sideways, wherever it is, then I got this. And then a little bit later, I got this again. A little bit later, I got this again. I am at that point. The intensity that I had, I lost. I would lose it. I would make a gain and I go, oh, what a relief. I'm making progress, and I would lose. And I would falter. And as soon as I lose, one day I would lose big. And the next day I would lose big, and I would lose the challenge. I've been doing this for the past Even after getting a payout, I've been doing the same thing over and over again. That's why. So it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, okay? How the intensity, I would lose it because I'm here. I would go to work and I say, hey, look, I could have made $5,000 today, but I only made like $500 or something like that. But the brain is so like puffed up with air and nonsense that I cannot trade properly. This is why they say that. So there's, see, all these things are connecting together. All these stories are connecting together. But you have to be a CEO of day trading in order to see how they're connected together, because you are your own CEO. You run your own company, okay? Your brain is the tool that's used to communicate with the world to make money, okay? And all these things are clicking together, connecting together to make sense now. So that's why this S&P Capital, this guy, Mike Bellafiore, right? And he said this. He said that highly competitive athletes understand how to trade. Okay, it is easier for a highly trained athlete, collegiate athlete, to enter into trading because they have all the necessary ingredients, okay, to perform well. Because the only way for them to get to that point is years and years and years and years of practice. And then when they get there, they have that years and years and years of experience with the same intensity, okay? So the reason why Brett Favre, he said this, the reporter said, hey, why didn't you keep playing in the football? He said, I got tired of getting beaten down. See, the reality is this. He was probably beaten down the first day that he started the NFL. But now he's been getting soft and soft and soft. And so you can't be in the NFL if you can't take the hit, okay? If you cannot take the hit, you cannot be in the NFL, okay? That's what it is. That's why you have to be a highly habituated individual who has years of experience. Or if it's 3 months, equivalent to years of experience. And then when you're on the plate to bat, you have the experience. You have the same tenacity and that you have that same tenacity with that experience to support yourself to be successful as long as you can. That's trading. The fortunate thing is, in trading, you could be 90 years old and still be able to function properly because you have that. You have that. So what I'm doing right now, I'm switching. I'm switching from doing this because I'm not sure. I forget what I'm supposed to do because I'm waiting for it. I don't see it. And so I take it and I get habituated. The market programs me into taking things that used to work, but it's really not working. It works in certain situations, but it doesn't work. And so as soon as I jump into it, then all heck breaks loose, okay? So essentially it's so I just realized why I have to increase my tenacity. I have to increase my tenacity when I get there because I have 5.5 years of experience in trading. Okay, all right. So Trump says this when he was interviewing when he was debating Hillary Clinton. Okay, and apparently Hillary Clinton was in the politics for 30 some odd years. And then Trump says, yeah, I'll give you that. You have more experience, but you have bad experience. You have bad experience. That's why. Okay? That's why. You have bad experience. Sure, you have more experience, but you have bad experience. That's bad. It's like taking a regular Joe Schmo, put him into the NFL, and have him throw the football. Okay? Wow, like 400-pound linebackers, 400-pound linemen that are just rushing towards them, right? You can't compete. You cannot have a regular Joe Schmo get on the, National
Baseball League, NBA, National Baseball, right? And you cannot hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I tried out for the high school baseball, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't hit a damn thing, okay? Because I had no practice. You cannot do that. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot compete with Pele, because Pele has experience and physical fatigue and the experience. He will run circles around you, okay? What's that guy in Florida? What's his name, right? Number 10, whatever his name is, right? He's the best. You cannot even guard him. He'll run circles around you. So here I am. I just figured this out, thinking, okay, so the tenacity got me there. Okay, it's the tenacity. That tenacity is built up on years of good experience. It's comprised of good habits. Okay, that builds it. But bad habits will unwind and break things down. The biggest bad habit is switching off. Okay, for me, I'm self-diagnosing myself, which is I tend to sidetrack because it seems to work at that moment, and I use a setup that is not proven. Secondly, is my mind is distracted. I get to the point where I lose my tenacity. If I keep my tenacity, then I know what to trade. That is a ingredient that's required in order for me to succeed as a trader, and keep myself in the market, to stay above the market, not underneath the market where I get chopped up. I can't. That's the reason why. Okay. Does that make sense to you? Okay. I have no idea what I'm gonna call this, but it's gonna be. I better make up something good.